The gavel struck, but instead of order, the chamber filled with a ripple of laughter. Judge Stephen Breyer leaned back, lips curling as a quiet chuckle escaped, a sound that darted through the courtroom like static. Eyebrows lifted, whispers flickered, and for a fleeting moment, it felt like a joke had landed where none was told. Yet beneath the humor, there was something sharper, dismissal cloaked as amusement. Eyes shifted toward Jasmine Crockett, waiting to see if she would shrink or stumble. But then, the laughter faded, the air tightened, and silence demanded her reply. Started with a laugh. This was no routine proceeding, no sterile exchange of statutes and citations. The courtroom that day had become a stage where questions of identity, fairness, and dignity loomed larger than any technical detail of law. Every eye was locked on the bench, every ear tuned for the weight of what was to come. And then came the laugh, soft, almost casual, yet laced with something unmistakable: dismissal. It wasn't just amusement at a turn of phrase. It was the sound of authority brushing aside a voice it did not expect to matter. For a moment, the chamber seemed to side with Breyer. A few heads tilted in quiet agreement, as if confirming the unspoken. She's out of her league. That was the whisper circling the room, carried in glances and half-hidden smirks. Crockett, the outsider, the underestimated, the one not supposed to shift the ground beneath seasoned giants. But that laugh, light as it seemed, was about to ignite a spark she had carried all her life. What happened next would not just correct a judge. It would redefine the balance of respect in that room. Because in less than 60 seconds, she would flip the entire atmosphere on its head. Stephen Breyer was no ordinary figure on the bench. For decades, he had been celebrated as the intellectual titan of the court, sharp, witty, a man whose clever turns of phrase could disarm even the toughest arguments. His humor was his armor, his way of softening conflict, and many admired him for it. But that same charm often carried a shadow, a tendency to condescend, to let laughter serve as the scalpel that cut others down to size. In this moment, his chuckle was not harmless. It landed squarely at Crockett's expense, and for the first time, his confidence looked like arrogance. Jasmine Crockett's story was never one of privilege. She carved her path from the ground up, born into a life where every opportunity had to be wrestled from the grip of doubt. As a young attorney, she walked into courtrooms where her very presence was questioned, where colleagues sized her up not by her skill but by the color of her skin and the cadence of her voice. And yet, time and again, she refused to shrink. Every dismissal became fuel, every slight another lesson in resilience. By the time she stepped into this courtroom, Crockett carried with her the weight of a lifetime spent proving wrong those who thought she didn't belong. To some, she was the underdog, the newcomer facing a giant in a world built to keep her on the margins. But to those who knew her fight, she was the embodiment of quiet strength. A woman forged by adversity, sharpened by struggle, unshaken by arrogance. And so, when Breyer's laugh rippled across the chamber, it didn't pierce her. It awakened her, because she wasn't standing there just for herself. She stood for countless unheard voices. And that's exactly why her next line cut